If you're a 100% permanent disabled veteran, you could pay zero real estate tax on your home in Virginia with no income test, no asset test, and you can technically lock it in before closing. This and many other reasons make Virginia, and I would say specifically Lynchburg, Virginia, we'll get into that later, a possibly good place for many veterans to land. Now, what I'm going to give you in this video is general information. So, of course, this is not legal, tax, lending advice. Obviously, please go to the experts if you want to know more specifics on your eligibility and things of that nature. I'm Adam Steinspring. I'm a real estate agent in Lynchburg, Virginia. I've helped many veterans relocate here, move within here, and these are the things that I've found to be most helpful specifically for relocators as they're considering Virginia, and more specifically Lynchburg, Virginia, as their place to land. So let's get started. The first thing that I find that vets want to know is how can they use their benefits in Virginia and what benefits are specifically available to them here. I find the first thing that people want to know is medical. Are there medical benefits nearby? Yes, the answer is yes. So here in Lynchburg, we have the Desmond T. Doss Private First Class VA Clinic, and this is for primary care, this is for mental health care, this is for labs, so the basic things. We do have some ERs here in Lynchburg and some urgent cares outside of that for those extra things. If you want a larger VA clinic that covers a broader range of things, then Salem, which is about an hour away, is probably going to be your best bet. The next thing I find is what other benefits are available to vets. This is what they want to know when they're thinking Virginia specifically. How does Virginia take care of their veterans? And I think they do a pretty good job. So these benefits here I'm going to list are on top of your federal benefits. Real estate property tax can be zero if you're 100% P&T disabled. This is for a home in 1 acre. It's not unlimited acreage. But with zero asset test, with zero income test, you can pay no real estate property tax, which is huge because this could be a couple hundred a month if you're in the city of Lynchburg, and maybe $100 a month, even if you're outside. Again, it depends on the price point, but this could be a substantial amount monthly that you're saving by not paying property tax. Of course, again, go to the Commissioner of Revenue to double check on this, but you can actually lock this in before closing so that you don't even have to think about it when your first mortgage payment comes. The next one is retirement benefit. Again, these are Virginia specific. For military retirement, up to $40,000 are subtracted from state taxable income. So technically, if you were only making $40,000 in military retirement income, you would pay zero state tax income. The next one is personal property tax exemption. So again, for someone who's 100% P&T, you can actually deduct one vehicle from personal property tax because we do have personal property tax on vehicles here in Virginia. And then one of the last kind of larger ones, again, related to real estate, is the VA loan funding fee, which is generally thousands of dollars, can be waived if you are a service-connected disabled vet. A couple of others that I found here that I wrote down. First one is there's discounted or / free hunting and or fishing license for certain eligible people, free state parks, and then, here's a huge one, the tuition waiver. So there's something called the VMSDEP. I don't know what that acronym stands for, but it is specifically for the spouses and kids of vets, and it enables them to have a tuition waiver for certain schools, and that's a lot of money for them to go and get their degree. So next, the reason you probably clicked on this video is because you wanted to know about real estate, because the real estate guy. So let me give you some first kind of some general stuff, and then we need to get into something very important. So the first thing to know is prices. So home prices, by comparison of the entire national average, Lynchburg is about 20% below. Now that doesn't mean that the house that you want is going to be in that price point, but right now the average price point around Lynchburg is going to be around the $300,000 mark. So $300,000 is probably going to get you a 3-bed, 2-bath. But if you want more than just your average 3-2, maybe with a basement, you're obviously going to need to go up in price to get the space and things like that. But if you compare to some place like a Northern Virginia is going to be somewhere probably between the $550 to $650 mark for something equivalent. Because you can get many of the same conveniences and maybe some peace and quiet if that's what you want here versus somewhere else, and it's still a little bit cheaper on the home front standpoint. But we would talk about what you want and then what are the expectations for your budget and or what you want. The next piece to understand about Virginia, and this is probably the part that most people skip when they're talking about a move to Virginia. Virginia is what we call a buyer's beware state. This means the seller doesn't have to tell you pretty much anything about the house as far as problems. They don't really have to give you a list of disclosures. In other states, they do. They have a full, it's like a couple page document where they have to find out the problems and they have to disclose all of those problems. And then the second part of this is, if you find problems later with the house, it is all on you. You have to figure it out for yourself and handle it later, basically no recourse. Now, that's not to say that you're just stuck, that you have no way of knowing if this house is going to be a problem. This is why inspectors and also good realtors are very important when you're buying a house, not just in Lynchburg, but in Virginia in general. The VA appraisal, this is something I see that's kind of maybe get a little bit misaligned, is the VA appraisal is to check value and really for basic functionality. They are not doing an inspection. And usually I only see them flag peeling paint, handrails, and smoke alarms. They aren't doing a full deep dive inspection. That's why an inspector or inspectors is going to be important. Specifically some things in Lynchburg to be looking out for and to either get a specialist to look into or have the inspector look at is anything related to water intrusion. This is kind of universal. Water is the enemy of every house, but Lynchburg, it rains a lot and we tend to have leaky basements. The second one is radon. In this area, radon, which is, go do your research about it. It's a radioactive material that can seep into basements in small quantities, but enough to want to know about it. And then the third one is lead-based paint. Around here, there is a pretty reasonable amount of lead-based paint because there's a lot of homes that were built before 1978. So these are just kind of some basic things to keep track of. Mold is in there too because, again, of the water, but it just rains a lot, and the basements really weren't, the houses, the older ones, weren't really built to be perfectly waterproof forever. The seller is only going to do certain inspections. They're going to do termite, well, and septic. That's about it. Everything else, if you want to know about it, or if your specific needs in the home, you want peace of mind about certain things, we send the experts on those missions. Another couple of cool notes is, as of right now, Lynchburg has a pretty reasonable share of veterans here. So it's about 7% of the population, which is slightly above national average, which is pretty good. And there are some local Legion and VFW posts, including, the namesake Desmond T. Doss Memorial, VFW, and then a few more communities I'm sure you could find just outside of this. Here's the reality. Lynchburg might be a good fit for you as a veteran. It might. And I've seen it be a very good fit for many of them, but it also might not, because what you want is specific to you. And the way I help people is figuring out what is it that you want. Are we setting the right budget expectations? And how do we actually get you the lifestyle that you are looking for when you are trying to move to a new location? So if that is you, reach out. Let's talk, because there are some other nuances to this that I always like to talk through because it is specific to you. So if that is you, then I guess we will be talking soon.